brought to you by Penguin.
The Note Through the Wire by Doug Gould. Read by Richard Goulding. Chapter 1. Bruce, Stalag 18D, 15th of February, 1942. He was nursing a sledgehammer hangover. It took Bruce Murray several minutes to reorientate himself. The hut gradually came into focus, the rough timber of the walls, the muddy floorboards, the grimy window in the door. It was Sunday. That was a good thing. That was a bloody good thing, considering the state he was in. He imagined what it would be like if the German guards came hammering at the door, as they did on most other days, ordering him to fall in for a compulsory work detail at some Slovene factory, or, worse, at one of the railway sites near the Maribor POW camp. He shuddered. Disconnected pieces of the previous evening came back to him. Shouts of laughter, the fug of smoke, of course, the eye-watering burn of the home-brewed hooch, some infernal potion the boys had concocted in secret from filched potatoes and hoarded sugar, or so he understood. Lofty. That's right. It was Lofty Collier's 21st birthday, and this had seemed like enough of an occasion to break out the booze. Bruce had had hangovers before, more than he cared to remember, but this one was a real doozy. It felt as though a pneumatic drill was boring through his temple, and there was a coating of cement on his tongue that fixed it to the roof of his mouth. Now his guts were churning. He groaned. The mood had swung wildly over the course of the evening. First there was hilarity, jokes and laughter and good fellowship. Then it had developed a hard edge, when the latest outrage committed by some guard or other riled the men. Inevitably it had grown maudlin, as stories and reminiscences of home were shared. Towards midnight they had rallied, and the singing had begun. Some time and several tin cups of grog later, the joy had leached from it all again, as many hoarse throats joined a chorus of Auld Lang Syne. It sounded more like Old Land's Shine in their rendition. There were tears. Bruce might have shed a few himself. After that, he didn't remember much. The hut reeked. His shirt reeked. He reeked. He had to get out. Bruce heaved himself into a sitting position and swung his legs over the edge of the bunk, his coarse grey blanket slithering to the floor. The hut spun, and Bruce belched ominously. Steeling himself, he lurched to his feet, averted his eyes from the hazy scrap of mirror, pulled on his boots, shrugged into his greatcoat, and staggered to the door. A gust of freezing air greeted him as he opened it, and he screwed up his eyes against the glare from the snow. Perhaps, he thought, sitting out in the bitter wind would purify him, purge him of the toxic aftermath of the night before. He sat heavily on the upturned Red Cross crate where he sometimes sat in warmer weather, drew his coat about him and wondered whether a ciggy would make him feel better or worse. That's where Frank Butler found him. "Get up, you ugly sod," Frank said. "Puss off, Frank," Bruce replied. "Come on, Brucey, get off your ass. Let's take a turn, blow out the cobwebs." Frank grabbed Bruce's arm and heaved him to his feet. It was their routine on Sundays to take a stroll around the perimeter of Stalag 18D, partly for the exercise, partly because it gave them another opportunity to taunt the goons with jibes as barbed as the wire surrounding them, mostly to relieve the unrelenting boredom. "God, you look a reet bloody mess," Frank said, eyeing him sideways. Insults were the stock in trade of their conversation, but Frank meant it. By this hour of the morning, Bruce was usually freshly scrubbed, his hair combed and slicked down, and he would have done what he could with his clothes. Not today. It was all Bruce could do to grunt in reply. They walked in companionable silence, an inch of fresh snow squeaking beneath the soles of their boots. The gloom overhead thinned a little and the light brightened. It was agony on Bruce's bleary eyes. He closed them tightly and gritted his teeth. "Hello," Frank breathed softly behind him. "What have we here?" Bruce opened his eyes. They were 30 yards from a point on the southern perimeter fence that was out of the direct eyeline of the guards in the watchtowers. There was a figure, standing motionless on the other side of the wire, a brave or desperate thing to do since, needless to say, the guards didn't exactly encourage interaction between the locals and the camp inmates. It was an...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?